Alright, welcome to Raising Funds for World Domination, day number 315. So for today's daily update, there are once again no updates on the anticipated appeal of the red eviction that we won. There's still a sponsored block type in the Shopify Store. And once again, I did not work on any long form videos because I've been working on shorts videos every day. I'm just going to try to get one, actually do a bit of work as well on another video, long form video today, but I did not get a chance to. So we'll continue with work on the terminal block mining simulation game. So the current focus on the game is make progress on multiplayer support, and I'm still working on adding some unit tests for the chunk loading and unloading module. Okay, unit test works. Shoseki says, "Good evening, sir. How's it going? How are you enjoying freedom?" Oh, and wait, already done 2 little coding projects. Nice. All right, so I think the next step to make progress we'll need a getter for this function. Going to automate releases, very similar to how my old project work. Some respects, Semver. The other to automate the assignment of 242 Unity packages to my account using Chrome MCP server. Interesting. That's I assume that's the same model context protocol. Is that the model context protocol? Did that was that recently invented with large language models, or has model context protocol existed since before that? Because that seems to be MCP seems to be catching on. It's the cool new way to interface with everything. Bridge between the LLM and any random app. Is there but I guess I'm curious, did it predate large language models, or was model context protocol invented specifically for large language models? The Chrome MCP server and Unity MCP. I think they've been around for 9 months. Interesting. Everything's changing crazy fast. They eat tokens, so I think people should be migrating skills now. It's a backup brute force. Yeah, a lot of these AI models are expensive. Google says it was invented, Anthropic invented it, 2024. Working on CLI is 100% better than using MCP servers if you can help it. Yeah, I've still yet to even dip my toes into that. Harley Speed Thrust says, hello, how's it going? Orthoplex 64, you're late. How's it going? All of your stuff is via the CLI, right? You could instantiate your server and have a test client that runs a single command, such as spawn object, or change something and then quit. This application is pure command line. I'm not really even sure what like the protocol of a model context protocol server is. I would assume a large language model could deal well with basically any kind of command line interface if it was like if it had lots of examples. Then you document all the commands. Test client does. Get a client to interact with your server. Yeah, I would have to like add a few kind of wrappers. Right now, I guess right now the commands would be just like via simulating the inputs, but I could just add like a language within the game, like a command prompt in the game, so you can like have a command that moves in a direction or something, and that could be used to like automate test cases and stuff. Google AI account 1 says robot. How's it going? If you didn't want to expose your credentials, stream, put them in a .env. You wouldn't necessarily need an MCP. Yeah, maybe eventually I'll play with it. I want to prioritize getting the unit tests done for this thing first. Get to my next milestone and have another release of a stable version that it's taken a lot of time to get the this like initial version of multiplayer out, but it's also it's a good piece of architecture to have in now, because once I start adding content, it'll be difficult to go back and add all that. What you doing? I'm working on building a terminal-based video game, and I updated my links so you can see. There should be a link in the description to terminal block mining game down there. Oh, nice. We got a super chat from Steg YT. $5. Thank you very much. Love the CPU video. Excellent. Yeah, it's my most popular video. It's how many views is that at now? It's almost 20 million or something. That's good. Now you know how to make your own CPU. You don't have to waste your money buying one at the store. Just make them at home now. Just 3D print one eventually. Ready to this compile. Nope. Wow, we get another super chat. Currently rocking 590X. Planning on upgrading. Nice. I actually don't even know. Does that specify a GPU or a CPU? I haven't kept up with the latest in what's the going video cards and CPUs and stuff. CPU Ryzen 9. Yeah, stuff's getting expensive. Every few years when I buy a new CPU, I have to like start watching a bunch of Linus Tech Tips videos to get up to speed with what's the latest thing. And computers haven't been getting faster as much in the last, I don't know, decade or so. I guess correct me if I'm wrong, but like a CPU today, are the newest CPUs today much faster than the ones like 3 years ago? Hardware overall seems to be getting a lot worse. The laptop I have, the ThinkPad I have here, it's literally the worst piece of hardware I've ever bought, and it was the most expensive computer. And it's actually like, it's very surprisingly slow. Like it's literally slower than my 10-year-old laptop that I got before it for like half the price. Is NVIDIA prioritizing AI? Kind of screwed. Yeah, I think it'll take a while. Eventually the AI boom will kind of filter out. I guess all the money, they're printing a bunch of government money to just like get them to make like infinite GPUs. But unless that actually produces a return on investment, then eventually once that starts obviously losing money, they'll probably scale back, and then we'll be able to get GPUs for cheap, hopefully. RAM and graphics card is my bottleneck for what I want to do. Docker eats memory. Yeah, I've heard that the RAM shortage is actually like a really big problem right now. And that it's like a significant percentage of the bill of materials for a new laptop now. It's like 40% of the bill of materials is RAM, which is kind of crazy. And I think I saw another video of some guy who's had like a secondhand, he had like a used computer business, and he said he was making money like buying these old used computers and putting them together. But recently he started getting like some of the old ones, and they would come with no RAM. So he has like all these old computers with no RAM because everyone just buys the old computers for the RAM, steals the RAM, and then tries to resell the computer. But it's weird how like it's all fab space, so it should be like interchangeable. Newer CPU is better. Windows 11 just slows down everything. So I use Windows 10. I use Linux these days. I haven't been on Windows in a while. i5 4690K, GTK 970. Only having a hard time playing one game. I think I said this before. I don't remember. Man, I remember I spent like $600 on a GPU back in 2007 so I could play World of Warcraft. And it barely even had like a a fan on it. I think it just had like heatsink. Running 32 gigs of DDR4. Nice. Had my PC for a few years. That's good. Have you also memory tested your memory? That's also another. That's an underappreciated. If you're super interested in the theoretical aspects of bit flips and memory, I have a video on my channel about. I have a video about debugging a bit flip that I got on one of my old computers. In the process of going through that, and then also if I went through the process. I went through that like an exhaustive analysis of all the different causes of bit flips, which you might find interesting if you're interested in CPUs. 8 gigs DDR4. Actually, I think this computer is. What does this one have? Two gigs? Yeah, it's an old one. Just an old, crappy spare laptop. Mine since 2019. Yeah, to the pandemic, that's when the quality of everything went down. Besides gaming and some programming experiments. Don't really care about GPU. Emulation is my hobby, though. Want to get upgrade. Had to save up a lot. Do animation, gaming, programming, editing. So I need the specs. Yeah, it really does make all the difference. Like if you do any kind of computer work and you have the money, the time you save is very valuable with a faster rig. But I guess in my case, terminal block mining is doesn't require quite as much. Devin says, "Sup, bro? How's it going? Saw a good video explaining how memory requires different fabs. Don't remember who made it. Maybe Asianometry. Yeah, it might have been Asianometry. He has the wealth of knowledge in his videos is incredible. He has incredible stamina to produce all that content. Now, to research everything. My 3070 was $550. Planned on getting a 3080. Didn't have them. Oh wow, we got another super chat. Gotta go. Hope you have a good stream. Thank you very much. Thank you for the 3 super chats. Have a good night. See, it's crappy. Haven't seen you do anything. Take a very long time. Yeah, actually, this I just realized this is on. I'm on the remote right now. So this is megabytes memory total. Okay, I think I think this one had megabytes memory, so this would be kilobytes. Or sorry. Yeah, megabytes, so this would be gigabytes. So about 20 gigs. That would approximately make sense, because I thought I forget how much was in this. But I guess the local, this is the local machine. This one is slow. This one has 5.8. Yeah, I read that wrong. It's closer to 20. But yeah, the because this one is so slow, I just SSH into the other one all the time. Still going strong on my 2014 hardware. Yeah, old hardware will get you pretty far. $16 gigs. Asus ROG Astral Real Gold Edition GPU is what I got. Didn't GPUs go to like $1,000 or $2,000 for a while? It almost seems like the industry is they're taking turns, like having ridiculous prices for every single component. It was GPUs for a while, and then they're going to do outrageous RAM prices for a while, and that'll go down. And then hard drive prices will go way up. Geometry, such a great channel. Yeah, I watched a bunch of the episodes. Actually, he put out so much good content. I kind of didn't really even have time to watch all of it. But for a while, it was on my regular watch list. He has a team, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, the pumping out a ton of content is very difficult. There's a lot of YouTubers that I thought like, wow, how do they produce so much content? And then eventually I realized like, oh, okay, this person is like funded by a billionaire or something. But I don't know. Some of Asian, I guess it's possible. If you're like super motivated in your early, if you're like super motivated in your early 20s. And like really interested in the subject, I could see how you could pump out that much content super fast for a little while. Robert, do you like pomegranates? I think I've had them before. They're okay. They're a lot of work because they have a bunch of seeds in them. I do game dev on cheap ThinkPads. Kind of like it doesn't let me ignore performance, or certainly. Yeah, actually, that is a really important use case, is testing on a slow computer. And especially sometimes with especially if it's like multi-threaded, there's sometimes like certain multi-threading problems that you'll only get on a really slow computer, or possibly even a fast computer, because like a buffer might fill up, but only on a certain type of machine. Do you know Luau Duluth? I'm not sure what that is. Kind of like developing mobile first for web. Wow, there's so many more people than just a month ago. Yeah, it seems like the main ingredient is I have to just publish a lot of videos in a short period of time. So I've been putting out one shorts video basically every day for a while. But I guess it seems like the live stream chat by itself doesn't really there's no growth to it. But I guess it seems like the winning combination is involves lots of videos, and then I think maybe what would make more sense is like a weekly live stream, because when there's a lot of people in the stream, then it makes it harder to actually do productive work. And when I am doing productive work, that's not very interesting. Like pomegranates, you can chew and eat the seeds. Too bad they're expensive. Yeah, I'm a fan of pomegranate juice. I can't even remember the last time I ate a pomegranate. Run a comment and say, these live streams are super relaxing. Total ASMR. Excellent. Glad you enjoy them. Lua, I've never really used it. I think that's the programming language. I think if I'm not mistaken, was like Lua used for like the overlay mods in World of Warcraft. Like, would that be 19 years ago? I might have seen it then. That's the last time I think I ever used it. How long will you be doing these streams? So I've concluded. So we're on day 315 now. I think I'll probably go till 365. Day 365. Part of this was an experiment just to see, like, would this translate into revenue, growth, memberships, and to just live streaming is kind of a bizarre activity, but and this is just to gather data on to see like if I can actually do useful work while I'm streaming and like actually generate revenue from it, which I don't know. I guess if I streamed like 8 hours a day working on stuff, I don't know. I'm not sure if revenue probably wouldn't go up. It would probably just plateau down to next to nothing. But yeah, I think I'll probably go to day 365, and then I will conclude the experiment and try and reprioritize stuff, because the channel revenue is down very dramatically over the last few months. I think I'm live streaming too much, and it is I think it's hurting the channel. I can hang out more because this is 3:30 a.m. in UK. When I was employed, this wasn't an option. Oh, it's 3:30 where you are? It's past your bedtime. It wasn't WoW. I used it for Roblox. Streaming too often can help, I think. Make streams more of an event. Yeah, I guess it does make sense. It seems like the point, the like successful live stream is one that's where there's actually interaction with the chat. I think ideally, I'll probably go to day 365, and then I'm gonna do a reset and like reprioritize. And if I continue to stream, which I'll probably do a little bit here and there, I would probably maybe focus the actual stream content a bit better, and then also fix the UI up a little bit more. So it's actually takes some time to experiment with a better interface, more visible chat and so forth. I can maybe add some alerts and stuff. Would you ever host a game jam or something like that? Might be a fun community thing. A game jam. From what I understand, that's where like everyone builds a game together. I wouldn't really even know like what would be the expectation or process for hosting something like that. Because if assuming game jam means like building the game, that seems more like an asynchronous thing. Maybe I'll work toward getting like multiplayer, some like basic version of multiplayer going, and then I could actually I could live stream playing the multiplayer, and I could like play with other people in the chat. That would be a maybe possibly interesting piece of content. Robert, have you heard about the command stake hide? If you haven't, you need to check it out. You can hide text and images with stenography. Yeah, I assume there's you could probably even do even more general stenographic things. There's a lot of that's an interesting topic to dive into, about like the information theory behind encrypting stuff and hiding stuff and using all kinds of different technique Fourier transforms. And I assume there's I actually kind of think a lot of the AI generation stuff, I think that's probably quite common now. I think a lot of platforms will watermark content you upload and publish, so they can track it to see if you stole it from TikTok or something. Always like the idea of Steam games. Perhaps your block binding game could apply. Take commands from chat. Oh, stream games, yeah. Yeah, this would all require a bit of time and experimentation. Right now, my focus is just throughout the day is just get the view numbers up, because the view numbers are why there's more people here in chat now, and getting more views on the channel is the center of everything. Game jams are like many small teams. Make a game over a short period. Then everyone compares, plays. Then at the end. Yeah, I'm not opposed to that. I guess that's not. I almost wouldn't even consider myself a game developer in a way, and that's probably a bit outside my niche, but would be fun. Yeah, there's probably other people who do a better job of hosting game jams. Last year I made a tool that parses Windows executable files. There's so many places you can hide stuff in those, since the format is pointless all over the place. You can use the in-between. Other OS executables are probably similar, but I haven't checked. Yeah, there's if it's something that if you're a government or something, there's tons of interesting ways and techniques and places you could hide information and this kind of stuff. Okay. Well, that's probably because it's a set. Good evening. How are you doing today? I'm doing well. Making a little bit of progress tonight on the unit test. How are you doing? Robert, if you make your game multiplayer, would you make an anti-cheat for your game? Or do you think no one would be able to cheat anyways? I probably would consider it basically like I'll probably consider like totally open. I think most likely in terms of what I probably do is I would make it so that like the assumption would be anyone, like for the, if I actually host, this would be a bit of work to end this, but the public facing, like the public multiplayer server, if I host one, would effectively allow you like total programmatic access to the API. So as a programmer, if you want to clone the repo and like modify, right, change the code and recompile your client, like literally turn your client into a hacked client, what it would do, I would probably just design it so that whatever bad thing you tried to do would not work. So for example, if you try to do like a movement hack where it teleports you like 5 million blocks, or you can, or you start like sending like 10,000 packets or something, it would just rate limit you, and then you would get like a rate limit exception or something, and then it would like, you know, there'd be some kind of time penalty, or like if you're super abusive, then it would like maybe blacklist your IP and for 24 hours or something. Take forever to make it cheat anyway. Just wondering, because you show a lot of your game codes and variables. Yeah, I think that's in terms of selling the game in this day and age, I actually think that's kind of a plus. I would consider the target market of this game is like other computer programmers. Tonight is having a rave party. Interesting. Are you in Ontario by any chance? Today it was a lot warmer, and it was like kind of rainy. I had a bit of a headache earlier today. I didn't have any tinnitus, but hope it gets better. Instead of game jam, where people build lots of different games on a theme, once you standardize your multiplayers, allow people to build their own clients. Yeah, that's an idea. People could vibe code clients, and then we can all play together in the same world and mine some blocks. And they can do all different strategies, tactics. Probably have to limit the rate. Yeah, that's another. Honestly, there's quite a bit of work necessary to actually get production multiplayer. There's lots of security stuff I'd like to upgrade. Getting everything on the latest version of everything. And also like putting in some like rate limiting logic. Smart idea. Thank you. Down in Indiana. Sort of warmish. Yeah, I don't know. It's Indiana. I guess I'm not 100% sure how far. I don't know. Maybe there's the same kind of like, pressure system or something that's going through. All right, that did not crash. Okay, I'm getting closer to having an actual test. Probably very close to Toronto in terms of weather. Just south of Lake Erie. Yeah, I guess the whole, if you're around the Great Lakes, then within a few hours of the same weather system. Robert, ever tried to make your own OS? Yes. I made well, I guess some of that started with school projects. I think in the third year we did a group project. 4 of us wrote like a basic microkernel, but we were given a lot of code. And then for one of my advanced technical electives, me and another guy worked on a microkernel to drive like trains around and stuff, the model trains. And I wrote almost all of the microkernel myself for that. And then after that, I kind of had some like I actually wrote an emulated software emulated CPU that could run in the browser, and it ran like a small it was a very small microkernel. There was like 900 lines or something. And then I also used that to reuse that code again when I was teaching a course on operating systems. What is IMC? IMC in this context, right here, stands for in-memory chunks. Which is this object here. So it's just a class that keeps the loaded chunks in memory. Probably overkill to create your own OS. I'm sure there are micro Linux distros. Yeah, it's honestly it's if you've done some like compiler stuff, and if you've wrapped your head around how to write a context switch, if you've written a context switch, the first time you write a context switch, it's kind of like a mind-blowing thing. I like to really understand the stack. But once you know how to do it, like if you've done a course on it, you can actually write a microkernel, like a basic microkernel that does preemptive context switching. You have like a concept of threads, like a privileged mode, like a user mode and a supervisor mode, and like maybe some inter-process communication and some like dynamic priority levels. You can write something like that in a weekend if you've done it before. So that like just the basic microkernel things are not that crazy. It can be the topic of like a regular course. But the impressive part of a real OS is really the hardware support. And that's why Linux is like millions and millions of lines, or it's at least like a million or something. I can't remember how many lines Linux is, but it's a lot of lines, and most of it's just every new bit of hardware, because there's just like infinite implementation details to think about. Make it a full-blown OS would be insane. Here's what I just found on Google. 2001 study found that Red Hat Linux version 7.1 contained 30 million lines physical source code. Analysis of Red Hat 6.2, 17 million. Yeah, like when you think about it, the fundamental features of an operating system, like, you know, process isolation, like some privilege modes, like the context switching internet of privilege mode. That's like a real. If I was to enumerate the like really core things that make something like an operating system, as opposed to just like a regular program pretending to try and to simulate an operating system or something, an actual context switch with stack switching, and which is almost certainly going to involve some assembly instructions to do the actual stack swapping, which is that's the feature. Like I'm pretty sure there's no. Well, yeah, it's by definition it's like the thing you cannot write in a programming language. It has to be written in the native assembly of the processor, which is also why one of the things why if you write an OS, if it's for an embedded system, you write it with the context switch of that the assembly instructions for that specific processor. But if you write an OS that can run on any processor, you have to write different versions and correctly load the right versions of the assembly for every single different processor out there. And different processors might have different ways of doing virtual memory, and depending on how many features you want to get into, it's just it can. Once you start stacking on the feature, you're like, oh, okay, that's not hard. That's only like 4 days of work. And to support this other platform, that's another 4 days of work. And then to make it support 32-bit and 64-bit, that's another 4 days of work. And then and now to add like hard drive support, that's another maybe a week of work or something. And to add this, Western Digital and Toshiba drives, and then some things have like hardware flaws, so you gotta add some other deadlock mitigation to your OS, and then that's how you end up with 17 million lines when you add like just think about how many pieces of hardware exist out there, and for every unique piece of hardware there's a description of like the quirks of that hardware that have to be written in software. Like nuclear fusion, always just 20 years away. Yeah, it's almost worse than that though, because with nuclear fusion, like once you actually get it, you've got it. If you get it to, it's based on there's a physical threshold you can pass. Like if you have one model that works, you've got it forever. You can just copy and paste that. But with an OS, there's constantly engineers pumping out garbage hardware with flaws, and like there's always new video cards, always new something or other. USB version 5. And you're gonna have to write some more code to support some poorly designed standard. OS is acting as a polyfill for various pieces that your current hardware might not fulfill compared with other hardware. I guess I'm not familiar with polyfill. Is that like a game dev term? you all heard that Linus Torvalds has been vibe coding. I think I did see a headline that he is kind of embracing vibe coding a bit. Corn Cur Zero says nerd. Web dev term for bits functionality that some browsers had, but others didn't. Oh, I see. Is there an update for a new viewer as to what's going on here? If you want an update on the world domination plans, you can check the link in the description. The actual work I'm doing on stream, I do about an hour of work each night on this terminal-based video game I'm developing. And if you want, I added there's a shorts video, and I should add more links to the game itself. But there's a couple of videos on my channel. If you search for terminal block mining game on my channel, there's a couple of videos on it, and there's at least one shorts video in the description. Praises it for rapid prototyping languages we're not familiar with, but also insists it's not useful for kernel development. Yeah, I could imagine that. Is it open source? So the source is available. There's also a link in the description to the source code, which I update regularly. And so it's a proprietary license. If you want to play the game, you have to become you have to give me at least $1 through some method. So you can sign up to Patreon, or you can become a channel member, or if you've ever given a super chat or anything like that, you automatically have a license. Robert, do you still have your terminal-based online dating software? From the grep video. I think I just used like a. What was it? There's a command I used for creating the text of that. I can't remember. There's the toilet command. I should do a video on that command. The toilet command you can use for you can like make like block ASCII art style text. It was either that command or I think I used another command maybe to create that text, or the text UI that I just piped it to a file, or I think I might. Yeah, I can't remember. I just did the simplest thing that would let me make the video, make it look like it was an actual site. I might have aliased something. Toilet is a crazy command name. Yeah, it's a pretty silly command. Toilet-F. Has your toilet command ever led to an overflow? Fortunately not. I forget what the -F flag does. Alright, that's not supposed to be that way. Oh, nice. We got another super chat. £5. The beer on me. Thank you very much. I assume that's Shoseki. £5. That'll probably even buy. That'll buy more than a beer. What type of overflow? There's multiple interpretations to the word overflow in this context. Let's see why that's not working. If greater than 0, well, that's why. Chunking stuff is interesting. Not something I've worked with before. Yeah, dividing the world into chunks is necessary for. I want the world to be infinite, and then just building this kind of general model means I can specify like how many chunks. I can like just change parameters to like change the number of chunks that can be loading at once, change the size and shape of them and stuff, and I can do that to like tune the performance a bit better. Okay, that should presumably still be getting called. Infinite to the extent you can store locally, though. I imagine there'll be an amount of information that has to be stored on the server side. Yeah, so the I made it so the world generates as you explore based on a like Perlin noise function, and right now you can run a local world, so like a single player client version, and it just creates a SQLite database locally and stores the block data locally, or it could be a networked version, so you connect to a remote server and then it'll just generate and store. Currently the chunk generation, the initialization is actually it starts in the client, and then the client writes it to the database, whether that's remote or local. Eventually I'll make that like a server thread thing. But yeah, the eventual goal will be like the server could be an infinitely large thing, and then you could just explore it without downloading, without any persistent storage. Or if you want, you could like set it so it clones the world as you walk around or something. Robert, have you ever thought about making your own mini LLM? That would be fun. There's honestly there's a lot of fun stuff I'd like to play around with AI, but there's too many interesting things, and not enough of them actually make money. That's my main focus at the moment. Okay, this surprised me. That should have triggered. Wonder if there are TensorFlow bindings for Java. Not sure. Okay, well this throw an exception. It's in another thread. Money making aspect so hard. Yeah, the AI makes you feel productive and powerful, but the problem is it's an arms race. Everyone else can generate an infinite amount of, slop and videos, and so you need to be able to generate slop. It's a slop arms race. Most games change to things like subscriptions, microtransactions. Yeah, I need to add that to my game. How'd you make the testing? Is it something that runs full game each time, or is it something that runs core stuff? It runs various things. I kind of just have most of the tests stuck in this big file. Let's see. So this test I'm building right now is just for the memory chunk loading, but I have some like almost more like algorithmic stuff. Like actually this year is a test for screen layer, some of the screen drawing stuff, and then there's stuff for like testing some of the utility functions that like calculate like regions of space and stuff, and then other stuff to test the there's a priority queue that I test. For real, I can make a 1600 Lua code in literally 4 to 5 hours. Vibe coding doesn't feel the same in the heart. Yeah, you can generate a lot, but the question is, does it work and does it do stuff? That's awesome. Super smart to make testing for different parts. Yeah, most of it is, some of them are things where, like, I just realized that this is going to be incredibly buggy if I don't have a unit test to support this, so I did what I could to make a really robust, like I tend to prefer almost like fuzzing unit tests. So instead of it actually kind of helps me out to figure out the algorithm in the first place. Where if the definition of the problem, if I can like just throw some, if the preconditions and postconditions are easy to test, I can just like throw random stuff into it and then work backwards from the exceptions. How do you feel about 18-year-olds raising $1 million for their stupid AI companies while you struggle to make ends meet? I think in the world is complicated. In some cases, some of that is like if some of these people are actually doing it for real, then more power to them. But having been immersed in the startup world for a long time, there's a lot of like some of that is actually like fake. So some of that is like I've known people that talked about themselves as like serial entrepreneurs, and they're like, yeah, we got this company to like X number of $100,000 in recurring revenue, and then we sold it, and now they're like a VC or something. But knowing what actually happened, knowing like they somehow managed to get some investment, and then they basically, like if you put a bunch of money into a company, if you have a startup that's spending $100,000 a year to make $90,000, or like let's say you're spending $10 million a year in operating costs to make $9 million in revenue. Now you can go around and saying, hey, I grew my startup to $9 million in annual recurring revenue. and you sound like really impressive and smart, but you're actually losing $1 million a year, and you need to find new investors to support that, and you can possibly get away with that for a while. So that's one case. Another case is like people just kind of lie. They can like exaggerate. Like they say that they got acquired or they were successful, but actually they're kind of just straight up lying. And then another thing is some investors will, some of these are kind of like fake. They're what would you call them? Industry plants. That's, I think, the technical term for them. Like you see that a bunch in the music industry where there's some new artist that comes out of nowhere and they have some cool new brand and catchphrase and stuff. And they're always on the radio. And you're like, wow, this person's a rising star so fast. And then pretty quickly you see them like interacting with all the major celebrities and you're like, oh, wow. Oh, I see. They're like kind of like, there's someone with big money behind this person, and then you'll find out actually they're connected to this already rich family. It's not the storybook dream of some young poor person achieving social mobility. It's an already rich person who's being groomed to be the next like replacement for whatever popular celebrity genre or something. So, and that exists like in the startup world. So that's one category of people raising millions. There's other categories of like some people want to do these companies, but then they'll get accepted like incubators, and the incubator will say we want you to work on, like, we don't care about your business that you want to build. Here's what we're going to tell you what you're going to do, and then they invest in you, and you're kind of like, they have like 95% of the equity, and so depending on how many people are on the board and how diluted the company is, it may not even be your company anymore. So I mean, it's hard to say that all of these businesses are one category of thing, but there's just, when you peel back the layers, there's many categories of things where it's not quite as it sounds, and the number of 18-year-olds legitimately just getting rich overnight is not that large. I think the quickest way to get $1 million is to start with $2 million. Yep. Am I supposed to be jealous? Is that full of other people's success? I just want to hang out, work with cool people, make cool stuff. If they get rich, so be it. Yeah, historically, I think we used to live in a more like organic capitalist world. I think we're kind of in a late cycle of like unsustainable business activity where there's just I think there's more fraud now than there used to be, but it's going to catch up with the system. It's all going to come crashing down soon, and because it's waste does not need to lead to economic growth, which is one of the reasons why living conditions for people are getting so houses cost, the cost of life in general is just so, it's becoming unaffordable. Okay. That's okay progress for tonight. Okay, I need to think a bit more about what's going on there, because it's doing the update chunks. It also actually might be crashing in that thread, but I'm going to need to check for exceptions. because if the in-memory chunks thread crashes, the block manager thread collection will, I'll have to check to see if it has any exceptions after this. And if so, fail the test. Understand the plot for world domination. You have my support. I'll be in the running. I'll be tuning in tomorrow. Excellent. Yeah, and with that, we'll be back tomorrow for day, 316, and we will continue. I think there's probably an exception in there, so I'll check for that here, and I'll slowly start adding more of the actual test and basically just make it randomly. Yeah, this function, I think I'll just, I'll have some more getter functions. They basically say, like, give me a chunk that's in one of the stages of the chunk loading lifecycle, and then allow it to progress to the next stage. And then we'll do that until all the chunks are drained. All right, have a good night, guys.